Mall and over Green Park and St James's Park and in all the screens around the country where you may have been watching it. And the noise coming from within the palace gardens, the 12,000 standing and cheering and waving, not just members of the royal family but members of her household. The 82-year-old mistress of the robes spotted standing waving her arms in tune to the music. The Prime Minister was there, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Yoko Ono was there listening, smiling as tributes were paid to the Beatles. And now, as the lights go out on Buckingham Palace, as the Queen drives back in, that's it really for tonight. But once again, it's all changed now. The beacons, the remains of the fireworks are going to be cleared away during the night, ready for tomorrow morning, and the procession in the Gold State Coach to St Paul's. The Guildhall lunch and the carnival ending with a flypast of aircraft with Concorde and the Red Arrows in formation coming down the Mall and over the palace. I hope we see you again tomorrow. From here, good night.
100 TV cameras, 2,000 musicians, 2,500 carnival dancers, 20,000 performers, one Queen, one big day. The BBC brings you the biggest party for 50 years, the Queen's Golden Jubilee, live tomorrow morning from 9:25 on BBC One.
I spy.
He's a cop! He's an infiltrator!
A rogue agent. I want to be with you. I want to be one of you.
If he's undercover, we'd have known, wouldn't we?
On the loose. I am the thing a security service fears the most.
You blew your cover for it.
The spy who embraces everything he's been trained to destroy. Lively at the side of the river, isn't it?
Spooks.
Don't make us crucify you, Peter.
Tomorrow 9:30, only on BBC One. MI5, not 9 to 5.
What is the point of you being here, eh? You're never straight with me. Why can't you just give me a straight answer? Just once. It would be nice if you gave me what I wanted.
Oh, look. You've crashed.
Don't get frustrated. Search the World Wide Web with the new search engine from BBCi. It uses the BBC's know-how to find what you're looking for straight away. BBCi, the search is over.
Introducing Peter Snow's World Cup Swingometer to BBC One in 15 minutes. Johnny Vaughan's World Cup Extra is now at midnight. First on BBC One, a little later than planned, the news with Peter Sissons.
A stunning climax tonight to the Palace Jubilee concerts. Britain's pop aristocracy turn it on for the Queen. Then she lights the final beacon of 2,000 worldwide. And the celebration brings 1 million people onto the streets of London. Good evening. An estimated 1 million people packed the parks and avenues around Buckingham Palace tonight as inside Britain's biggest pop stars performed to honour the Queen. It was a stunning sight of fireworks and blazing beacons too after a day of street parties and pageantry. Our royal correspondent Jenny Bond reports.
From the roof of Buckingham Palace, a few hundred yards from where fire broke out yesterday, Queen guitarist Brian May signalled an almost conventional start to a most unconventional concert. On stage first, a raunchy number from Ricky Martin that went down well with the 12,000 guests in the Queen's back garden. The Queen herself chose to leave the early part of the show to the younger members of the family, among them William and Harry with their father. It's the first time they've been seen in public with Camilla Parker Bowles, who was once again in the row behind. It seemed that the whole of this part of London, normally so sedate, was rocking as the concert was relayed on giant screens. The crowds outside, up to 1 million of them, came from all age groups, just like the ticket holders in the gardens.
Brilliant! Love it! Superb! Absolutely out of this world.
This is fantastic and everyone's loving it.
Alright, let's go! Wow!
Most unconventional of all, Ozzy Osbourne. He said he was terrified of doing something wrong and ending up in the tower. William and Harry, though, seemed to be fans. A few minutes later, a suitably unconventional welcome for the Queen from one of her greatest fans.
But I think we have some very exciting news now.
We do.
The Jubilee Girl is here, Pasha!
She got one of the biggest cheers of the night, both from the guests in her garden turned rock arena and from the massive crowds outside. Never before had the formality of palace life seemed so comprehensively punctured.
Thank you, good evening.
And from Paul McCartney, a rather cheeky note.
Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. Wanna tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, someday I'm gonna make her mine. Someday I'm gonna make her mine.
And as the concert ended, this jubilee was marked by a personal and affectionate tribute from Prince Charles to his mother.
And we, Your Majesty, are here tonight because, above all, we feel proud of you. Proud and grateful for everything you have done for your country and for the Commonwealth over 50 extraordinary years, supported unfailingly throughout by my father.
Three cheers for Her Majesty the Queen. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip!
It was a night to remember and a further sign that old family rifts are healing. Jenny Bond, BBC News at Buckingham Palace.
And within the last few minutes, the Queen was outside Buckingham Palace to light the fuse of the final Golden Jubilee beacon, part of a chain of 2,000 beacons stretching around the world. And it set off a huge and spectacular display of fireworks above Buckingham Palace. Today's celebration spread the length and breadth of Britain. A 41-gun salute, hundreds of street parties and galas, and throughout the night, the lighting of those 2,000 beacons across Britain, the Commonwealth and beyond. Duncan Kennedy reports.
Britain's skies are glowing tonight with 2,000 Jubilee beacons. This one in Swansea among the first. As the light faded, city after town after village followed, one after the other. And each one lit as a sign of continuity after 50 years of unbroken rain. From beacons to bells, it was Morris dancers who started off the Queen's Day in Windsor. 15,000 people turned out to watch a parade of British culture. The Duke of Edinburgh clearly enjoying the moment, and the Queen, despite days of hectic celebrations, looking delighted at the spectacle. At the same time in London, the King's Troop Royal Artillery was firing a 41-gun salute as a signal to start a day of national street parties. Cardiff was in full cry for one of its many bashes, every generation joining in the fun. And royal watchers might have choked on their barbecue bangers at the sight of one visitor, but this Elizabeth R was in fact a Queen lookalike, hired to judge a corgi competition.
The real Queen can't always turn up, so next best thing, if I may say that.
It was definitely the real thing in Preston today. street music, a theme of this Jubilee, paraded this time in true carnival style. Well, here in West London, the music might be different, but the theme is still the same, one of celebration and fun. And this party, for one, is set to go on for much of the night. The organisers say it shows the monarchy still has meaning.
All to do with 50 years of really hard work at the Queen's stand, and we're just celebrating for her.
The Golden Jubilee has had its critics, but there's no doubt the Queen will take displays like this as a signal much of the nation still holds her in great affection. Duncan Kennedy, BBC News.
And our royal correspondent Jenny Bond is at Buckingham Palace now. Jenny, it had everything, but if measured only by the numbers of people on the streets, a stunning success.
Oh, it's been absolutely staggering, as far as the eye can see, all the way down Constitution Hill, all the way up the Mall, even now all around Buckingham Palace. Hundreds of thousands of people, 1 million, the police say, turned out to enjoy this wonderful concert. And the fireworks afterwards, which lit up the sky and thundered and vibrated around us. It was a fantastic atmosphere and can only be regarded as the most major success by the Palace and indeed by the BBC, who staged the concert.
Well, none of us has ever seen the monarchy showcased like this. It must rival any celebration of the monarchy throughout history, I suppose. And how significant is that, or is it too early to judge?
Well, I think you cannot possibly say there's been anything other than an enormous success. And it's been very, very different, hasn't it, in tone to everything we've seen go before. There is an informality now about the way the royal family conduct themselves. But it's extraordinary to go in the palace, in the gardens and walk around, see people sitting on the steps by the swimming pool, looking into the windows, wandering around the Queen's back garden in the way that they've been allowed to in the last couple of days. It's been a real turning of the tide, I think, and you can only say here there's a great feeling of bonhomie for the monarchy.
Jenny Bond, thank you. Well, now the rest of tonight's news. 3 people have been injured in shooting incidents during a second night of serious violence in East Belfast. 2 people sustained bullet wounds in the Short Strand area while boarding up damaged buildings. Later, a bus driver was injured when his vehicle came under attack. The leaders of India and Pakistan are under increasing pressure to agree face-to-face talks in an attempt to defuse their dispute over Kashmir. Both men are attending a regional summit in Kazakhstan, but haven't yet met. Around 1 million troops have been mobilized along the disputed border, where there's now a daily exchange of shell fire.
A lavish welcome to Kazakhstan, matched only by a lavish amount of diplomatic activity. India's Prime Minister is the focus of all the attention, but still he's standing firm. Atal Bihari Vajpayee insists that Pakistan is harbouring Kashmiri militants. While it does, there'll be no one-to-one meeting here with Pakistan's president. Mr. Vajpayee named a street after Mahatma Gandhi today, using the occasion to take another swipe at Pakistan. The Prime Minister said, just like Gandhi, India had always pursued the path of peace. Pakistan's president flew into Almaty, ignoring India's intransigence. Pervez Musharraf has welcomed an offer by Russia to mediate at a face-to-face meeting. President Musharraf wants to be seen as the good guy, doing whatever's necessary to defuse the growing crisis over Kashmir. Here, beneath the mountains, both men will be in the same room tomorrow attending a wider Asian summit. But at the moment, that's the limit of their contact. Amidst all the pomp and ceremony here, Mr. Vajpayee is the key. Unless he changes his mind about meeting the Pakistanis, there'll be no negotiations. The diplomatic pressure on him to relent is now intense. Jonathan Charles, BBC News, Almaty.
Now, England's World Cup hopes not happy. That's how the England coach Sven-Göran Eriksson described his side's draw with Sweden. But he insisted England could still win their group and later allowed the team out for a brief shopping trip, as Daniela Relf reports.
It was supposed to be a secret shopping trip. Not a chance. Most were here to catch a glimpse of the England captain. The fans were in a frenzy as they caught sight of the England players. The shop had been kept open to supposedly give them some privacy. It had been a far calmer story earlier today. Training began with a pep talk. The message from the manager was to the point. Yes.